Every winner's journey demands a decision. Are you the type to back down when life gets tough, or do you fight for your dream until you have nothing left to give? In my world, there's only one way: no retreat, no surrender. The great ones, the legends, the millionaires, the icons, the champions, they all adopted this creed whether life tried to break them or not. Weak people put their dreams on pause every time things get hard. They're looking for an escape, a shortcut, a reason to surrender. But the reality is, the moment you retreat from your purpose, you give the world permission to treat you like everyone else. The bold, the relentless, those who refuse to quit, are the ones who bend fate to their will. Here's the hook. Imagine the power you could unleash if you eliminated the option to surrender forever. Think about every moment in your life when giving up seemed easier, when the pain was unbearable. The odds stacked against you, but you pushed forward anyway. That's the secret. Champions never fold. They stand taller as setbacks try to crush them. Winners don't negotiate with quitting, they declare war on it. Let the average talk about regrets and comfort zones. You've got to become obsessed with the fight, addicted to resilience. Pain, rejection, loss. These are the tests that separate talkers from doers. I've faced the storms, seen doors slammed in my face, and felt the sting of defeat more times than most will ever admit. But every single time, I tightened my grip, sharpened my mindset, and made the decision to never retreat, never surrender. The crowd will try to convince you to give up, that you're wasting your energy, that you're out of time or out of luck. Cancel that noise. If you want the crown, if you want respect, if you want that heavy dose of pride that comes with carving your own empire, you cannot afford to step back, not even once. Winners keep moving forward because every inch taken pushes the rest further behind. Winners never accept defeat. Setbacks are fuel for a stronger comeback, not a reason to quit. In the pursuit of greatness, loss, pain, and unexpected failure are absolutely inevitable. But what separates the true champions from everyone else isn't their ability to avoid defeat. It's their refusal to let any setback become a final chapter. Weak minds interpret challenges as reasons to bow out, to switch course, or to justify mediocrity. Winners, however, operate on a different code. They absorb every defeat and let it intensify the fire burning inside them. They channel adversity into momentum, transforming every negative into the exact reason they rise, grind, and dominate at a higher level. Here's your hook. Imagine the kind of power you'd possess if you trained yourself to see every failed attempt as a hard push forward, rather than a reason to hang your head. Most of the world stumbles once and spends their lifetime talking about why it couldn't be done. Champions recalibrate and return stronger, faster, and smarter than before. They collect setbacks the way some collect trophies. Each loss is evidence of battle, proof of engagement, and a challenge to return with vengeance. Giving up is never an option. Even when the scoreboard glows with zeros and crowds disappear, and when support is nowhere to be found, the relentless competitor is already skimming, planning, and visualizing the next win. You want to stand out. Stop treating defeat like a dead end. See it as the beginning of your next evolution. Winners dissect every mistake, every heartbreak, and every loss. They don't waste energy on self-pity or regret. Instead, they look for the seed of advantage hidden inside every disaster. If they get knocked down, it's just another opportunity to test their resolve and outlast weaker spirits. Pressure, pain, and humiliation. These are the refineries where true character and hunger are forged. Champions know they're not defined by failure, but by their capacity to transform that failure into raw drive. Here's another hook. Think of the icons you admire in any field: sports, business, art, life. Their stories are always punctuated by setbacks that could have ended everything. What made them legends wasn't perfection. It was the refusal to let defeat write their final line. Every loss became a lesson, every setback a sharpening stone, and every adversity a springboard to higher territory. When you operate with the understanding that setbacks are fuel for dominance, you become unbreakable. You develop a reputation for outlasting everyone and bouncing back bigger, smarter, and more capable. Your mindset must be defeat is never final until you decide to quit. The world will be quick to tell you your time is up, that you're not cut out for greatness, that the mountain is too steep. Use their doubt as a challenge. Let it pour gasoline on your ambition. Winners refuse to be boxed in or slowed down by losses. They see themselves as warriors, knowing every battle, win or lose. Is part of building the legacy they'll leave. They turn every setback into proof that they're willing to go further than the crowd, fight longer, and claim what most would abandon. Make your setbacks famous for creating the unstoppable version of you. Every defeat should become the reason people talk about your resilience, your tenacity, and your domination. Winners never accept defeat because they know the journey is long, unpredictable, and brutal. And that's exactly what makes victory so sweet. Train your mind to hunger for comebacks, treat pain as your teacher, and make every loss into the springboard for your greatest win. That's how legends are made. The moment you eliminate escape routes, your determination explodes. Commit fully and never look back. Success is never built on half measures or backup plans. It's built on ruthless focus and an all-in mentality that makes retreat impossible. Most people never truly commit to their ambitions. They keep a foot in comfort, ready to run at the first sign of discomfort. By refusing to burn the bridge behind them, they guarantee hesitation, lackluster results, and a nagging sense of regret. Champions do the opposite. They make their vision the only possible outcome, eliminating all options except forward movement, forward thinking, and relentless progress. In that very act, their drive intensifies. No retreat, no surrender. All risk is owned and all effort is concentrated on domination. Here's your hook. Imagine your results if you made quitting impossible. If you tore down all the safety nets, stopped playing for small wins, and acted as if failure simply doesn't exist for you. Winners elevate their game because they refuse distractions, refuse to negotiate with laziness, and refuse to give energy to any thought that isn't about winning. When escape is no longer an option, your body, mind, and will harmonize with a new level of determination. Doubt fades, and every resource, every ounce of energy is channeled into overcoming the challenge. People underestimate the power of being fully committed. Most dabble. They say, maybe, if it works out, or let's see what happens. Champions annihilate uncertainty with absolute decisions. They make bold declarations about their goals, their vision, their standards, and then structure everything so that the only way out is through. Failing isn't even on the table. They operate in a mental space where retreat is erased. When problems arise, they adapt and outlast. When setbacks threaten to send them backwards, they simply do not allow themselves to entertain going back to comfortable, mediocre, familiar ground. Here's another hook. History belongs to the risk takers. The ones who cut ties to the ordinary and put everything on the line for extraordinary. You will be tested. You'll face pain, confusion, and moments when escape seems attractive. That is exactly when you need to dig deeper and double down on your commitment. Every decision to go all in is a signal to yourself and to those around you. You're not here to participate. You're here to conquer. No more tentative actions. No more holding back. Winners sprint because walking allows too much time for doubt. Burn every bridge that leads to comfort. When you step into the arena of life with nothing behind you but ashes and uncertainty, you come alive in ways most never experience. Your thinking sharpens. Your drive intensifies. Your ability to solve problems multiplies because you know there's no lifeline waiting if you lose focus. Champions use the pressure of no escape as leverage. They force themselves to rise higher, work smarter, and endure longer because they must. The world starts to notice, opportunities widen, and new heights are reached, all because you refuse to play with safety. Let the crowd play games with their future. Keep backup plans, keep options, keep the illusion of security. You rise above them by committing so fully that it feels like destiny. No escape, no distractions, only forward movement. When retreat is not part of your reference, you become unstoppable. And that, more than talent, more than luck, more than anything else, is what turns a good story into a legendary one. Make this your daily practice. Eliminate retreat, ignite your determination, and never look back. Every challenge and pain is a test. Champions keep moving forward no matter how hard it gets. The journey to greatness is never smooth or predictable, and it's certainly not gentle. Life throws pain, setbacks, failure, and moments of doubt at everyone daring enough to dream big. Most let these trials slow them down or worse, turn them away entirely. But champions operate differently. They treat every bit of adversity as a challenge designed to measure their will, their character, and their hunger. In these moments, quitting feels tempting, comfort calls out, and the world whispers that rest is easier than resilience. But true strength is tested only under real pressure. Champions use hardship as the springboard for their next level. Here's the hook back. Think back to every pain you've endured, every challenge you faced. What if those were the exact moments that sculpted your power, refined your ambition, and prepared you for victory? While most recoil from hardship, champions lean in. They know discomfort is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Pain on the pathway is a sign that progress is happening. Whether it's an exhausting grind, relentless failure, or deep emotional struggle, the champion keeps pushing, refusing to let anything but their own willpower decide where the journey ends. When pain hits, winners don't freeze or start making excuses. They focus, adapt, and double down on their mission. They convert suffering into strategy, setbacks into lessons, and each bruise into evidence of their combat in the arena of life. You'll see them moving forward when others lie down, building momentum when others complain, and elevating themselves beyond limits by using hardship as workout fuel for their mind and soul. Here's another hook. If you crave legendary status, you have to redefine your relationship with pain. It's not punishment. It's a privilege to battle through the trials most people avoid. Every time you feel like retreating, push harder. Every time pain wants to slow you down, accelerate. This alone separates those who talk from those who execute. Champions never let pain pick the pace. They control the tempo, set the standards, and force adversity to become irrelevant through consistency. Every step forward under pressure hardens your spirit, strengthens your discipline, and ratifies your commitment to the mission. You'll fail, stumble, and get beaten. That's normal. Winners, though, keep moving. They know every minute disciplining themselves to rise above discomfort builds calluses against weakness and guarantees that when it matters most, their resolve will not break. The people who keep pushing, no matter how heavy the burden, rewrite what's possible. Pushing through pain is what earns real respect, first from yourself and eventually from the world. Your challenge is to accept trial and discomfort as steps on the journey, not slips into defeat. Every difficulty is a checkpoint for commitment. The more you move forward, the more pain loses its power to slow you, the more you realize you are built for endurance, dominance, and lasting victory. Champions don't just survive hardship. They thrive because it's through those exact moments that real greatness is forged. Let every challenge become proof that nothing, not pain, not failure, not adversity, can keep you from what you're determined to earn. Make your mission to always push forward, no matter how hard it gets, and the rest will be forced to watch as you conquer everything in your path. The crowd may fold, but you get addicted to resilience. Pressure reveals the real contenders. In life's fiercest moments, most people look for the quickest exit. They want comfort, assurance, and validation before they ever risk anything of value. When pressure mounts, when expectations rise, and adversity closes in, the masses fade away, making excuses for why it was too tough, insisting it just wasn't for them. Champions crave pressure. They chase it, not because it's easy, but because it's proof they're alive and in the game. True strength, real strength, only reveals itself when the world demands more and everything familiar begins to crumble. This is where contenders are separated from pretenders. Here's your hook picture. Every moment your back was against the wall, when quitting seemed logical, when escape looked rational. What happened next defines you. Not the outcome, but the answer you gave to resistance. Winners get a rush from overcoming the odds, not from standing safe in the crowd. Resilience isn't luck. It's a mindset, an addiction to the fire that forges legacy. Most will never understand this drive because folding is their reflex, not for you. You become more dangerous with every setback because endurance is your fuel. In the face of pressure, winners find clarity. They stop second guessing their mission and instead become obsessed with proving they can outlast whatever comes their way. While others crumble under challenge, you grow sharper, stronger, more creative. Your vision intensifies, tactics evolve, and every test reminds you that resilience compounds. The ability to keep moving, to stay focused, to bounce back, to insist on forward motion, builds a kind of self-respect and reputation that the crowd will never taste. Here's another hook. If you truly want to dominate, chase pressure instead of running from it. The more you endure, the more power you gain. Every rough patch, every high-stakes gamble, every burnt bridge is evidence that you dared to play where the crowd wouldn't step. That's why resilience becomes addictive. It's not just a habit, it's a rush, a sense that you're living life at a level most can't reach. You stack rough days into stronger weeks, turning ordinary moments into extraordinary milestones through sheer unwillingness to quit. Crowds are terrified of discomfort. Your edge is built by investing in it, hunting it down, and never backing away no matter how tense things get. You get used to feeling the weight and start craving the results it brings. Every failure is an invitation to bounce back harder. Every bout of criticism a reason to outlast doubters, and every closed door a challenge to find another way. Those who learn to love pressure stop fearing it, and as a result, they become indestructible in all the ways that matter. Resilience is more than standing tall. It's bouncing back bigger, letting resistance energize your efforts rather than sap your confidence. Winners armor their mind against setbacks, shield their vision from negativity, and trust their ability to endure long enough to transform adversity into achievement. Pressure isn't your enemy, it's your proof. It brings out the muscle memory of greatness, erases excuses, and refines you until even the hardest days are simply another chapter in your comeback story. If you make resilience your addiction, you won't just survive the race, you'll set the pace so high nobody else can keep up. That's what separates contenders from the crowd and builds an unshakable legacy. Your legacy depends on how hard you fight when quitting looks easier, stand tall, and dominate your destiny. Every person on a journey to success faces a moment where the challenges seem bigger than their dreams. It's the gut-wrenching, soul-testing period when giving up feels like the easiest way out. The crowd loves to talk about ambition until resistance hits, then they fade, making excuses for why the dream just wasn't meant to be. Champions, on the other hand, understand that legacy isn't built on easy victories or convenient shortcuts. It's forged in the fire of moments when quitting whispers seductively, yet you choose to stand taller and fight harder. Here's your hook. Think about the times in your life when walking away seemed logical, when nobody cheered for your progress, when the odds mocked your intentions and support vanished. What if those were actually the moments that held the power to shape your story forever? Winners live for these moments. They know that how you fight under pressure will become your legend. They defy the urge to quit, not because they don't feel the pain, but because their self-respect depends on their refusal to break. The world will often reward persistence quietly at first, but over time the echoes become respect, influence, and legacy. Standing tall isn't about empty bravado or ignoring hardship. It's about locking into a mission bigger than comfort. Champions refuse to let emotions drive their decision to quit. They honor every commitment, outlast disappointment, and push boundaries further when they're tired, discouraged, and overwhelmed. There's an energy in facing down defeat and choosing to keep moving, an energy magnetic to opportunity and success. The difference between winners and the crowd is who's still grinding when everyone else has disappeared. Here's another hook. If you want your destiny to be exceptional, you need to fight hardest when you want to quit. Real breakthroughs happen the second after you reject giving up. Legends are written in these slivers of time. When you dig deep for purpose, find the courage to perform under stress and move forward when it feels impossible. Every extraordinary achievement you admire was once on the edge of being lost to the temptation of surrender. By outlasting adversity, winners guarantee that their story doesn't end with almost or 𝗧𝗢𝗧𝗏. It ends with victorious and unforgettable. Your instincts will sometimes beg you for rest, comfort, or compromise. Train yourself to thrive on resistance, to treat every urge to surrender as a sign that you're nearing a breakthrough. Champions tap into a stubborn optimism, a relentless belief that the fight itself is the point. They drive harder as the odds increase, knowing their story will inspire not because it was easy, but because it was impossible to stop. Every fight is another brick in your legacy, a testament to what you refuse to leave unfinished. Don't ever let your destiny be dictated by temporary pain or fleeting emotion. Define every key moment with persistence, intensity, and a commitment to dominate regardless of circumstance. The crowd will always fold and justify it. You become a champion by rewriting what people think is possible and standing at the top simply because you fought longer and harder than anyone else. Your legacy isn't the victories that came easy, it's the triumph won when everyone else chose the exit. Fight for your story, and the world will have no choice but to remember your name. Those who refuse to retreat or surrender inspire generations. Be the force no one dares to stop. Throughout history, the world admires not those who had the perfect journey, but those who demonstrated unmatched grit and resilience against impossible odds. Legends are born from moments when defeat was imminent, yet the winner rose, bleeding, battered, criticized, and still fighting. The relentless few become beacons for everyone else, sending a signal out into the universe. True greatness is never the product of quitting. It's the legacy of those who stared down defeat and kept moving forward. Here's your hook. Imagine the impact you can have simply by refusing to fold when everyone else says it's over. You become the story the next generation tells, the living evidence that impossible was just a word waiting to be demolished. Your journey becomes a source of strength for those who feel invisible, powerless, or alone. When you refuse to surrender, your wins become much bigger than yourself. They echo out and shape what others dare to attempt in their own lives. Every era has its leaders, its warriors, its innovators. What they have in common is the refusal to entertain failure as anything more than a lesson, never the ending. The force you cultivate by never retreating builds not just achievements, but inspiration. Others watch your resilience and find permission to fight for their own dreams. They see in your struggle a path forward in theirs. You set the standard of possibility, making it clear that hardship is not the conclusion. Endurance is. Here's another hook. When you build a reputation for being unstoppable, doors open that were once thought permanently closed. Your resolve forces the world to reevaluate what can be done, rewriting boundaries and reshaping expectations for what the human spirit is capable of. Winners who never surrender transform every loss, every heartbreak, every failure into a classroom, teaching lessons about stamina, vision, and the richness only earned through battle. Their legend endures and multiplies, touching lives they'll never meet. Refusing to surrender means becoming the force that shifts history from comfort to achievement. You forge a legacy not based on talent alone, but on raw perseverance when quitting seemed logical. The crowd lives for applause. You build your empire one day at a time, quietly becoming the example every competitor secretly wants to follow. Faces change, trends fade, but the testimony of absolute tenacity leaves a mark that no setback can erase. People will always try to predict your endpoint, define your limits, or explain why you should step down. Your duty is to resist. Rise every time you're counted out, persist when back doors look irresistible, and fight until the only choice left is victory. The hardest battles bring the brightest lessons, the longest roads deliver the best views. Inspire those around you not because you were flawless, but because you were relentless. Refuse to retreat, never surrender. Be the force that rewrites the standard, that makes every obstacle shrink in the shadow of your will, and that inspires others to find their own reason to never stop moving forward. That's a legacy that never fades. Let me close it for you. Your story will ultimately be written by how fiercely you refuse to back away from your dreams. The world is watching. You weren't built for retreat. You were built for impact, for dominance, for lasting results that scream your name across generations. Make the commitment now. No retreat, no surrender. Punch through the pain, lock into your vision, and become the force nobody dares to stop. That's how you win. That's how legends are made.